I know when people come together, raise their voices, boy. Small town America speaks to the world. That's the way we want to get things done. It don't matter what color or religion. It don't matter what politics you ditch. Say it clear, say it proud. It takes a village to raise a child.
Hey, everybody out there watching TV today, we've got a special treat for you. There's no end to this. These are the men. I'm so lucky to have them here, and they actually went along with this. So I have to say that it's going to be a special surprise because, number one, they are in the meat and potatoes of the music business and the concert business and the musicianship that's involved. There's no end to the talent. My concept today is called The Power of Song, and The Power of Song more or less talks about the other side of the dance floor, or the top 40, or the things that you hear on the radio and TV. This Power of Song concept of mine is a Mother J Productions. There's our wall back there, you know, we talked that and we brought that in today. The Mother J concept produces concerts. They do things for the community and bring community together. They are all about the arts. They're all about education, cultural diversity, and we do it with jazz. And it's just magnificent. We've probably raised over $100,000 so far for children, special scholarships, things like that for the community. Anyway, The Power of Song shows people how music can be a healing process and how through music you can bring community together, and it's a hands-on experience. It's something that's not happening a whole lot anymore in terms of how music can affect children, hospitals, veterans, senior citizens, and what have you. And I'd like to introduce at this point these kind gentlemen that showed up today that are personal friends of mine. They don't know what they're in for yet, but we're just going to have some fun. To my right is the founder of PACE. PACE in Miami was Performing Arts for Community and Education. He was so dynamic in that concept. He founded that company and he affected Miami and therefore affected the rest of the world. With this foundation, it was magnificent. They did concerts for senior citizens. They did concerts for children's hospitals, veterans hospitals. Come on, help me out. Rod Glaubman, ladies and gentlemen, out there in TV land. This is Rod Glaubman.
Nice to be here.
Rod has been, his career has been involved with management on such levels as managing Paul Schaefer's band from the Late Night Show. He's managed David Sanborn and many more. Actually, I can't keep up with him all the time. He's always doing something new and something very exciting in the music business. Rod, number one, we know each other from time. We were kids, practically kids together before all this hoopla started, and he was a bass player, and always asking me to sit in, or how did I do that, or what have you. So we developed our rapport then before he became such a hot shot in the music business. So anyway, Rod, I'm going to move on to the next guy. Is that okay with you?
It's perfectly all right.
Okay. Well, and then we'll mix it up. We're going to mix it up. Over here is a magnificent, talented guy. There's no end to the gold records. He's produced Crosby, Stills and Nash, the Allman Brothers. No end to it. There's no end to it. He was the vice president of Criteria Studios in Miami, Florida, which was the studio. I mean, it was the #1 studio in the world. I mean, if you walked in the building, there were no end to the gold records. It was just a good 50 feet of it. From floor to ceiling, no end. Anyway, he produced all these people. He engineered folks. He was also a career builder on the educational level and a musician as well. He played Hammond organ. He played a little bit of everything, piano. This Howard Albert over here was the guy that started out and made and shaped Miami, as well as Rod Glaubman. Whatever went on there in Miami, that affected the rest of the world. These guys were the meat and potatoes of that. And I'm going to go forward right over here, right here to my right. I have another gentleman that's just setting the woods on fire in terms of engineering and producing. Right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, He's holding 3 Grammys, which is absolutely wonderful. I mean, I knew him when he was a kid, so we'll get into that in a minute. He's one of your guys here in Orlando. He's got a studio here in Orlando, and he works with superstars. Gloria Estefan comes to my mind right away. And his name is Eric Schilling. Eric?
Nice to be here.
Oh, good. I'm glad of that. Jeez, I was wondering if you're going to like this. And over here, to my left, we have a musician that I've played with for many years. A marvelous musician working with all these cats right now that are selling CDs, are on the jazz top, as we don't really have a top 40 in jazz, but it's the #1 jazz CD out there right now. Jaco Pastorius Big Band CD, which by the way was produced by our engineer Eric Schilling. So this all connects. We're going to show you how it connects, and hopefully they won't pick on me. But this gentleman is the hotshot in the jazz industry right now, and the bass player. His name is Jeff Carswell.
Hey, Mickey. Good to be here with you.
I'd like to pick on Rod a little bit here. He's more or less my mentor when it comes to these concerts that I'm doing here in the Central Florida area. Rod was my inspiration in terms of I didn't work for, let's say I didn't work for children with special needs. And he's the guy that would send me out on these concerts. Well, at first I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know if I'd be any good at it at all, but I fell in love with it immediately. And Rod is the guy that gave me that opportunity and more or less gave me the inspiration to start this Mother J production thing. Rod, tell us a little bit about Pace.
Well, I was a musician in Miami. I was playing in the Philharmonic. And in the early 70s, it was a sleepy town. There was not a lot happening, but there's a lot of talent, mostly around the University of Miami. And the orchestra kept going bankrupt. And a percussionist and I, you know, it happens. They were playing to a smaller and smaller audience every year. And a percussionist and I got together and said, well, you know, we can find a little money, a grant, and go back to the symphony and ask them to do outreach programs to reconnect with the audience. And we got the grant, we went to the symphony, and basically they told us to stick with our music and let the management manage the orchestra. And we got a matching grant from a Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. And the idea was to connect the artistic resources of Miami with potential audiences. That wherever there are people, there are audiences. And this is at the absolute bottom, not even to call it the bottom, the basic levels of how musicians function in a community. And there are audiences everywhere. Some of them are accessible, and others are not. Obviously the parks, the places, the libraries, public facilities were a venue for making music. Mm-hmm. But at the opposite extreme, there are thousands and thousands of people who are unable to get to concerts by virtue.
That was the part of it I loved.
Actually, that had both sides. I had a handicapped brother, and I found that music was a very effective way of connecting with him. Mm-hmm. And I just extended that out, and there are the United Cerebral Palsy Clinic, Haven School, Hope School, the Veterans Hospitals. The idea first was to go out and perform in their facilities, get them involved with the musicians, and then the hope and the goal was that they would come to the other concerts. All the concerts at Pace were free. There were over 1,000 a year that were free and open to the public. And we would hope that we would go into the facilities, excite them and interest them in the potentials of being around live music, but then to come out to our other concerts in the parks and the libraries, and it worked. And just a little note on inspiration, Mick. You know, nobody ever came to see me at a concert. I mean, when I played in the symphony, I was part of the symphony, but as an administrator with Pace, they didn't come to see me.
But as a metaphor, can I use that? You created this piece where people became, they not only came to hear music, they became part of it.
Well, that was the goal. One of the goals, again, is to make people interact with music in a deep and connected way, as opposed to the dispassionate and kind of separated way, which is a result of years and years of buying records and listening to radio and getting further and further away from interacting with the artists. Yeah. And that means everybody that can hear music has the potential for being a supporter and a lover of music. And at the foundation, we used to call it the humus. In the forest, there's 8 inches of very fertile soil. And that's where...
Behave yourself.
That's where